LSU picks up a huge win, 29-26 in overtime. They're in Baton Rouge, Death Valley, and a game that they absolutely survived. Thank you guys for tuning into College Football Addiction. Let's talk about this. We had Blake Ruffino, Are You Serious, and the Ruffino and Joe show on earlier in the week to talk about this. We'll probably get him back on soon to talk more LSU football. LSU fans, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, but let's get after it. This was a game where I thought LSU was just hanging on for dear life. And tell me if I'm wrong about that, LSU fans. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments, but it felt like LSU was just surviving, especially in the first quarter. I talked about this on the in the Ole Miss perspective, but man, Ole Miss had chances in the first half to really try and start to put this thing out of reach or out of distance. Now, LSU was never going to quit. Ole Miss could have extended the lead, but we saw against South Carolina on the road, this Tiger team has no quit, and that's a massive testament to not only the players, but this staff. They did a phenomenal job getting their guys to continue to fight back. But man, Ole Miss missing a bomb in the first half. They obviously missed a field goal. The 4th and 1 play, just running into the teeth of that LSU front, maybe not the best move there. I thought that Ole Miss had chances to kind of extend this out. And I thought LSU got some help from Ole Miss. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to get a little help from the opponent to find a way to win. And they got that. They got that in the first half. LSU was not playing especially well early. I certainly think that they did enough to hold on, but I think they got some help, and they were holding on. They were surviving in that first half. The 4th down call with about 10 to go in the first half. I didn't love the sweep call by LSU here. I like LSU's O-line a lot. I know that, Ole Miss's defensive line is pretty good. I don't love the sweep call, man. Maybe I'm just old school. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but I don't love a sweep play against fast SEC defenses, man. I like grind it out and push them forward, win your rep, and go get that first down. I didn't love that. I didn't love that call. I like the call to go for it. I like how much guts it took. I like that they got after it. I just didn't love the play call specifically, but LSU just wasn't going to quit here. And a really, really good job by them getting points twice before the half. Now, I know they were both just field goals. I know that LSU, you wanted to get the lead back or have a chance to tie it up, but not in the cards. Couldn't get that done, but got points twice, and then that ended up being the difference. Ole Miss gives it to you a couple of times, or gives it to you on the fumble. You got a chance there at the end. It looks like they had the touchdown on, a call gets reversed. It was a wide receiver show by both teams there for a moment. But, man, just a great job to make that closer, because 17-13 and a half, like you're thinking like, we're not back in it all the way, but 4-point game, huge to get that back to a 4-point game. Make Ole Miss capitalize on their mistakes, or make them pay for their mistakes. You capitalize on their mistakes. A huge interception, down 4 with about 11 minutes to go, took points off the board from Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, I'm not trying to take anything away from LSU here, but what are you doing throwing that up in the end zone there? It looked like kind of like a Hail Mary throw where you're just throwing it up and hoping you catch it. Like, there were 3 LSU defenders there. Made no sense to me. Jackson Dart's got to be better than that. But again, what did LSU do? They went and capitalized there. Now, LSU gives the ball right back, but then after a sack, LSU does get the ball back. And so you flipped the field at the very worst there, right? Instead of Ole Miss having the ball in scoring position, you had the ball on the other side of their field. Thought that was big. That interception down 4. If Ole Miss scores there, certainly if they get a touchdown to go up 2 scores with under 10 minutes to go, that I don't want to say it's over, but man, that would have been tough at that point. But you gave yourselves a chance. Ole Miss drives down. Ole Miss drove the ball pretty well, had to settle for a lot of field goals. LSU's defense played bend, don't break. But man, after last year's LSU defense, like bend, don't break is, shoot, y'all got to be thrilled with that, right? Like forcing them to kick 5 field goals, one of them in overtime, ended up being the difference. LSU had to settle for 4 field goals too. I get it, but huge defensive stops to keep it to 7, right? If Ole Miss scores a touchdown there with 2.5 minutes to go instead of just a field goal, the game's over. Like, I don't see LSU scoring twice within the last 2 minutes, maybe, but holding them to 3 there was massive. Holding them to yet another field goal. 2:22 to go. 4th and 7, you're down 7. Nuss just a hell of a drive here. That 4th and 7 was a great play. Just a great job of Nuss making plays when he had to. That drive to tie it up was great. Obviously, it would have been really cool, and it probably worked out to LSU's benefit. But the throw to the tight end that ended up, his elbow was down. I know the crowd didn't love that. Obviously, you've seen the replay by now. You know that he was down. It would have been awesome if that could have been the touchdown because that play was just a hell of a play. But Nuss showed something, and I'll talk more about him in just a minute, but he showed something late in this game. He wasn't great. He was great, yeah. He wasn't perfect in this game by any means. But, at the end of the day, he went out and won you the game. He went out and got it done. You hold him to 3 in overtime. I thought it was the right call to go for 1 and not 2. You get to overtime at home. No need to be risky. You were playing better down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and you're playing on your home turf. I think you like that a lot. Perfect back shoulder throw to win this. On the first play of overtime, just go for it, right? Just go for it. It's first down. You got a field goal attempt if you don't turn it over. So take some shots. And they did on the first play, and I love that. I loved that by LSU. Go out and win the game. The narrative was that neither one of these coaches could win the big game, so somebody obviously had to win it, right? Or maybe somebody had to go out and lose it. I won't go as far as to say Ole Miss lost this game, but I do think that Lane certainly would like to have some things back. I think that losing the turnover battle 1-3 would be something Ole Miss would like to have back. But go out and go get the win, and that's what they did. Didn't think they were great on third down defensively. Ole Miss, I think, was 500, right? 11 for 22 is what I have written down here. Ole Miss felt like they converted a ton on third and long. And then I think they had a couple fourth down conversions as well. It just makes that feel even worse because you get the stop on third down. Essentially, they converted on what? So that'd be like 13 of 25. So if you count third and fourth down together, they were a little bit better than 50%. I guess it's not terrible, but it felt like they could have gotten off the field a couple of times that they didn't. A lot of those ones that they didn't convert on, though, ended up being field goal attempts, right? And so holding them to 5 field goal attempts was massive. Obviously, the one in overtime being the most important. But at the same time, LSU had to settle for 4 field goals, too. And the difference in the game was that LSU settled for 4 field goals. Ole Miss settled for 5. And that last one ended up being the difference. It felt like Nuss grew up a little bit, right? Showed you that promise that you had heard about. And to me, that was the biggest part of the game. He played like you, not going to call it Jaden Daniels-like because they're so different, but he kind of showed that moxie down the stretch. He after not an elite game by any means, a game where the offense wasn't perfect by any means, game with some injuries to some star player. I do think that down the stretch, he was that guy. He was the difference in the game. He went out and won you that game in late in the fourth and in overtime. He was really, really good. Did what he needed to, down a score, down a touchdown late in the fourth quarter, and then in overtime with a chance to go win it, he went and got it done. And all credit to Nussmeier. I thought he was really, really good. And now things set up for LSU to have some success, to continue on this journey. You've got 2 very winnable games in Arkansas and A&M, who is playing better. Obviously, we know what A&M did to Missouri. Got to go on the road there. Arkansas, not a cupcake game like maybe it was thought earlier in the year. Maybe Pittman's going to save his job. We'll see how they play down the stretch. But I think you got a couple of winnable games. Obviously, the schedule continues to be very tough. Arkansas, not an easy game. A&M on the road, not an easy game. That's not been a great matchup for LSU over these last few years. Certainly lost some games they shouldn't have against the Aggies. And then you got Bama, right, who has certainly looked beatable as well. Probably should have lost to South Carolina yesterday. Did lose to Vandy the week before that. Probably should have lost to Georgia the week before that. Didn't play super well against USF at times, right? A very beatable Bama team. I picked LSU to beat Bama earlier in the year. I obviously picked them to beat Arkansas and A&M. I didn't think that either one of those teams would be quite as good as they are. 3 tough games coming up, but 3 games you certainly could go out and win. And if you go out and win those games, if you somehow get through that 3-0, LSU's putting themselves in pretty good position to be talked about at the top of this conference. Obviously, it looks like it's Texas that is going to find a way, but that Texas-Georgia game becomes very, very interesting. Somebody's getting a loss there. It could be Georgia's second, which could be great for LSU, could be Texas's first. Also, not the worst for LSU at this point. Can you find a way to get through these next 3 3-0? LSU not thinking about Bama, not thinking about A&M. They obviously are focused on Arkansas. I don't have to go play. Most of you watching this are probably not going and playing. I don't know how many players are watching this stuff right now. But if you're looking at it from a macro sense, you win these next 3 and people start to talk. People start to say, oh, that LSU team that nobody was really talking about earlier, right? We all thought about Texas. We all thought about Bama. We all thought about Georgia. We all thought about Ole Miss or Missouri. That LSU team starts to get interesting. You got to win these next couple. Got to beat Arkansas, got to beat A&M, and then it sets up a showdown with Bama where that's probably an elimination game for Bama. Bama drops that one, they're probably out. For LSU, it would be a pretty big blow if they were to lose that one at home. So let me know your thoughts, LSU fans. A great, great win. A good job of never quitting, never saying die. Even when it looked desperate, 4th and 7, down a touchdown with just over 2 minutes to go, you're thinking, you got to go get this. They went out and got it. They went out and got it done. Even in overtime, you're trailing a tipped ball there, a missed throw, a sack, a strip sack, whatever. You could be done. You were this close. You're this close, but you survived and advanced. And, man, Death Valley was on one last night. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch live. It was fun to watch the replay. Let me know your thoughts. We'll get Blake back on to talk about some of these big matchups here soon. So make sure you're subscribed. Hopefully you're checking out his content over there at AYS as well. Appreciate you guys a ton for tuning in to College Football Addiction.